Welcome back to another episode of the podcast you always needed, the only show on the internet that empowers men like you from a balanced perspective of both your inner world and your external reality. I am your host, Sean Heshmatpour, also known as Sheshan on the internet, proud owner of Sheshan's Life Coaching and Divine Alchemy Brotherhood. Gentlemen and ladies, if you're listening, I am a truth seeker, a truth teller, and everything I give you on this podcast has always been from my own trusted studies of myself, my students, human to human connection, and observing how it plays out in our physical reality. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful week so far. It is Friday as you are listening to this episode, and I'm not sure what your plans are for this weekend as you're listening to this. Maybe you have plans to go out with your friends. Maybe you're going to be staying in, wishing you would go out and do something with your friends or to go on a date or something. Maybe you are working on your career, your business, or taking a rest, kicking it back, having a nice cup of coffee, reading a book, enjoying yourself, or watching a show and just really resting your body. I definitely have a variety of how I like to spend my free time when I'm not working on my business. Some weekends I like to go out. Some weekends I like to stay in. And then lately, my current focus has been going out on the weekends, the last couple of weekends, since I just moved out here to New Hampshire. First weekend, I went out to Portsmouth, got a little work done at a cafe, and then walked around the streets, bar hopped a little bit, watched my Red Sox absolutely annihilate the Houston Astros. Man, my Red Sox are fucking hot right now, and I love it. I love it, man. And then I ended up going on a on-the-spot date in the city. It was a good time. She was pretty chill, but just didn't really feel compatible with her energy, you know? So it was a good time, though. That was 2 weekends ago, excuse me. And then last weekend, I had some of my best friends from high school, college. They all came up for the weekend. I rented out a barn in the woods for us to kick back, catch up for a little bit, had a nice dinner at a great restaurant right by the water. And then we headed back to downtown Portsmouth, and we totally tore it up, had a great time. And it was good. Like the first 2 weekends since I've been here, it's been like I guess you could say just me just breaking in the area. Doing some nightlife. But this upcoming weekend now I'm feeling like I need to take it a little bit slower, take it easy on myself. I am going through a lot of interesting shifts myself lately in regards to my energy, what I'm letting go of. You know, all the work that I practice with you guys, my students, I also practice on myself. So you know, it's a lifestyle, just like any other lifestyle. So, yeah, it's been a very interesting past couple of weeks, taking things a bit slower, taking things a bit easier, recalibrating my energy into alignment for this new chapter of my life. And I feel like it just works out perfectly with living out in a new area so far and just new area, new state that I'm living in. I don't know, just new energy, new vibe. So I've just been really letting go of what no longer serves me internally and even externally too, for me to be able to really step into this new version of myself. So with that being said, this weekend, I'll probably take it a little easy, set up some things in my room. I still got some unpacking to do over there. I haven't fully unpacked yet. So I'm going to take things a little bit more on the easy side. I have a few options in mind. I might hit up the kava bar. I might check out some yoga studios around here. Maybe I'll go on a hike, but I'm thinking even for outdoor activities, so I might even save that for the following weekend. I've been really feeling social, but something more laid back now. So I'm thinking more kava bar, yoga, breath work. They have a lot of that here in New Hampshire, believe it or not. I love it, honestly. Maybe I shouldn't tell people that because then it might just get overpopulated. But there's a lot of spiritual subconscious reprogramming, breath work, meditation, yoga places here where I live. So it's actually pretty chill. It's nice. There's a lot of options for that. So I really am excited to actually start engaging with people of similar minds and similar communities that I like to really get involved in and I love to geek out on. So I really am looking forward to that this weekend. I haven't really decided a set game plan yet, but it'll come to me, you know? I'm just going with the flow, man. So last couple weeks, as I've been sitting here settling in, I've also been going with the flow of my own energy the last couple of weeks as well. I've been way less structured as usual. I've been feeling called to really change things up in how I run my business, how I run my lifestyle, and in general, how I just move as a man, you know? And as I've been getting settled up here, it's been hitting me more and more of what I really need to let go of, what I need to step into. And it's been very interesting. It's been very, very fucking interesting. So as the energy sits in with me more, I'll be updating you guys more about that. I really am. Because one thing I want to say, and this is going to get into the podcast topic. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We're going to get into the podcast topic. But the reason why I love sharing my lifestyle with you guys on the show is because a lot of times with social media, educational self-improvement podcasts, I've noticed how so many of the hosts are so focused on the educational piece, and they're so focused on sharing their wins and just sharing just the highlight reel, just like social media. And don't get me wrong, there's fucking value in that, guys. There really is value in that. It's good to get right into the educational topics because that is what you are tuning in for, So I'm not saying there's no value in that, of course. And then on top of that, coaches share their wins on here. Gurus share their wins on here because they want to show everyone what they have achieved, which, again, there's value in that as well. Me, on the other hand, I like to be a little bit more personal with you guys. I want you guys to know about how I think, how I perceive reality, how I take on doing this work that I talk about in real time in my own journey, because that's what makes me relatable, I think the world needs more of that. I think the guru self-development space needs more of that more than ever, It's just like, if I'm coming on here just educating you guys, talking about my wins only, it just creates this false fucking relationship with you guys. It creates this fake kind of vibe, and I'm not calling other coaches fake or anything. It's just, look, it's part of the marketing. It's part of how us as coaches have been conditioned to do things. But me, on the other hand, I really am someone who likes to use strategies as just a basic foundation to how I move in the world. And then from there, I like to bring my own talents, my own mind, my own form of expression into things. So that's why I like to share my lifestyle in real time with you guys, just so you guys know. It doesn't matter how much you've worked on your confidence, how much you've healed, how much you've achieved, how much you've created. There's always still going to be more things in this world that we get to work on within ourselves. Why is that? Because we are in this school of life together. I am doing the work right here with you. So that's why I like to share my lifestyle with you guys. I love to share the solo adventures I go on. I like to share experiences that I have with other people here on the show, whether it's a solo trip, a vacation, being out in nature, fucking around, chilling, working on my business, talking to women, making friends, whatever it could be. It's just, I like sharing in real time what's been going on. So yeah, so you guys just have, a real-time understanding of what I'm all about and how I move through the world in real time. So, yeah, living out in New Hampshire has been a really good vibe so far, and I'm learning a lot more about slowing down internally in order to speed up. It's been a great theme for myself these past few weeks, and how I've been learning even more and more about integrating my own body's needs while also finding that balance of moving forward towards my goals. Sometimes in life, you got to slow down and speed up. You can't get too addicted to momentum, this idea of momentum. So honestly, it's been fucking incredible to witness. And later on, I'll do a podcast episode just on that topic alone. This episode is coming up as I wrap up week three, of living out here. It's been nice again, like I said, like living out in nature, living in something more smooth and steady. And this is where it gets into the topic of the episode. So hope you guys did enjoy me rambling a little bit about my lifestyle, because this is actually where we get into the topic of the episode. But yeah, it's been good living in a more slower pace nature environment compared to busy cities like Phoenix and Scottsdale. That was perfect for what I needed during that phase of my life. But now I'm here, and this right here feels like exactly where I should be, which is beautiful. I'm close to the beach, smaller downtown vibes, nature. I love it. I even record off films. I'm filming it in my house right now, but I even recorded this episode, actually. I just said it again. I even wrote down this episode, the show notes and everything, actually, by the beach a couple weeks ago. Ordered myself a nice little shrimp taco bowl and just felt the breeze of the ocean by this little beach bar cafe. And it's just so interesting how quickly I'm getting in tune with this place and really loving it, I'm not sure if it's because it's close to family and friends. I'm not sure if it's because it's just similar to the environment that I grew up in. But it's a good vibe. I really love it. And it's quiet, it's peaceful, and it's genuinely what I've realized that I actually like. Years ago, I would have thought Scottsdale was the place for me. And don't get me wrong, guys. Scottsdale's a beautiful area. It really is. Always sunny, dry heat. The weather is fucking phenomenal there. I mean, it is great, except for the summertime, of course. Except for the summertime. Summertime, 120 degrees. Yeah, it's a little too extreme. But there's a lot going on in Scottsdale. There's a lot going on in Phoenix. Lots of ambitious people. Lots of people also in the subconscious healing space and natural medicine. A lot of other coaches, a lot of fit people, a lot of beautiful people, a lot of beautiful fucking women for sure. It's a great place. And this is now where we get into the topic of the episode. What changed internally for me during my time out in Phoenix and Scottsdale? This is where we transition to the topic of the episode here. While I was out in Arizona, I honestly didn't fucking realize, guys, how easily I was influenced by the self-improvement guru lifestyle, by the influencer lifestyle in general, by the make money, get rich lifestyle. I'm on X and Instagram and YouTube and social media a decent amount for how I network with people, how I get to know other coaches, how I create connections with other people, and how I onboard new men into Divine Alchemy Brotherhood. I'm on social media a lot for work, for business. I love content creation too. I love connecting with the audience. I love meeting like-minded people. However, it's a lot of content, a huge variety of people that I consume when I'm not aware of what I'm consuming, of course. And I realize how easily I allow myself to be influenced by the external world. And after my time of meeting a variety of people, trying out new things, and exploring more places, which brought up more of my subconscious programs up. Again, it's similar to the work that we do over at Divine Alchemy Brotherhood. I'm always doing this work on myself. It's a lifestyle, like an active lifestyle, a business lifestyle, just like any other lifestyle. Learning how to let go of what is in your subconscious mind and reprogramming it is a lifestyle. But going back to the story, I realized how much of my inner world was still honestly attached to the external. How much I attach my own self-confidence to achievements and material world success, which is exactly the main topic of what the show is about today. If you didn't read the title yet, this is what it's about. And look, it was the way I was raised growing up. It really just came down to the way I was raised. But honestly, this was just the way I was conditioned by society, just like many of you guys who are listening to the show. I grew up in a town that was known for their quote-unquote incredible school systems and stressed the importance of going to college, getting an amazing fucking job, moving up the corporate ladder so you can get rich and wealthy, and anyone else who doesn't live life that way is an absolute loser, right? Like working with your hands, learning a trade was frowned upon. Doing something with your career outside of that social norm was considered weird, just like many other communities here in the Western world. I was raised in one of them, and just like a lot of other school systems out here, it's just kind of like fit this mold or you are a loser or whatever. And, the town that I grew up in as well was very, very much about achievements. It was about grades, sports, very competitive for a public school. I know private schools are, for the most part, from my understanding, private schools are a little bit more pushy on that stuff. But for a public school, it was like that. And it was about 2,000 people in this public school too. So it was a big one. Just things that I realized I didn't resonate with towards the second half of while I was in college. And then when I graduated college, I only had one 9-to-5 job. I've only ever worked one 9-to-5 job my entire life, and it was only for a year. The first year I graduated college, and then while I was working that 9-to-5 job, and even the second half of college in general, I was live streaming on Twitch. I thought I wanted to do that full time. I was really into it. And then after growing out of live streaming, I got into subconscious reprogramming for myself at the time. And then I started just like growing out of the community, growing out of the vibe in the live streaming world. I started talking about this subconscious stuff there. I started talking about inner work, healing, self-improvement. And a lot of my audience was not really all that into it. And I remember some of them spamming the sleep emoji in the in the live chat section and all that. It was a very transitional period of my life. Kind of like right now, I'm going through a transitional period in my own personal brand, my own inner work right now. But yeah, about 4 years ago, actually earlier than 4 years ago, before I even launched my business, so probably February, even earlier of 2021, I really started getting into this whole personal development space and inner work specifically. But the thing is, here's the thing. Even though I made it here, I got my own full-time business, been doing this full-time for about 4 years, have learned a lot, transitioned from private coaching into a group program, rebooted the podcast, been online and active on social media, sharing my ideas with you guys. Even though I decided to leave the 9 to 5 to go on this journey of self-discovery and then sharing this inner work, this healing with other people, I still energetically brought the 9 to 5 and achievement mentality and all that conditioning with me, unfortunately. It just got brought into my own world. I didn't fully let go of that conditioning yet. And I ended up trying to pressure myself to scale my business way too quickly. I sold my house out in Massachusetts, drove across the country in 2022, moved to Arizona because I thought, hey, well, I want to be where everybody else is who's into this coaching stuff, healing stuff. I want to scale fast. I want to grow fast. And man, life hit me with a ton of challenges while I was out there. And I'm very blessed for those 2.5, almost 3 years when I was in Phoenix. I learned a lot about myself and met a lot of great people, made a lot of good friends. And also met a lot of people in the industry too, just like I wanted to, and I learned a lot. But who would have thought that it would have gone down like this? And I'll tell you, it's in the story, I'll continue with the story. You guys will understand more of my mentality of what shifted, but I ended up trying to pressure and scale myself way too quickly. I thought there was something wrong with me because I was a millionaire yet. I had so much attachment and control to how I'd run my day, how I'd run my schedule. I beat myself up a lot on the back end. And I felt like I had to have this high expectation for myself altogether in order for me to feel acceptable with myself, because I was projecting that society wouldn't accept me until I was a millionaire, until I was jacked as fuck, all these things. And over time, after this mirror was shown to me through so many relationships, business relationships, platonic friendships, romantic relationships, and how it played out into how I worked on my business, I realized from all those experiences how much of my own worth I was attaching to the external reality. I realized how so much of my fuel towards hard work was coming from a place of pressure, was coming from a place of not good enough, was coming from a place of, oh my God, I have to make a big name for myself, instead of learning how to grow while honoring my own pace. Now, look, I think there really is a ton of value in the grind. I really do believe that. I'm not someone who leans only spiritual, lovey-dovey, go with the flow. I'm not someone that leans towards red pill, hyper masculine, you got to do this shit or else you're a loser. For those that have known me for quite a while and know what Divine Alchemy, my brotherhood, and my brand and my message is all about, it's about the balance, the balance of the polarities. So I'm very balanced and I appreciate the both sides for what they are. I just don't believe in fucking extremes now, especially now as I've recently entered my 30s, in October. So as I've been 30 for a little less than a year now, I really just have this more mature perspective of self-improvement, a very balanced perspective of self-improvement. And look, I think it's awesome to have a season in your life or a period in your life where you're motivated by external outcomes. But that's only short-term fuel. At a certain point of your journey, you'll need to let go and create a new source of energy for yourself to power the way you move in this world. And I've spoken to a lot of coaches, and also while working with my own students, I really realized how common this is, how common it is for people to want to rush to the finish line and they burn themselves out along the way, or they get a health condition similar to what I got while I was in Arizona. That's a story for another episode. But there's definitely a fucking dark side to self-improvement when you attach your worthiness to everything you do, to everything you create, and to the outcomes that may come or may not come with it. Learning to get up and move on the days where you don't feel like it, it's very important. That's a good skill to have. But when you keep doing it from a place of pressure, from a place of abuse, from a place of, if I don't have this thing or else I'm a fucking loser, that right there is a societal fucking cancer. And to be honest with you, studies are showing now more than ever that cancer, autoimmune diseases, chronic illnesses, metabolic disorders are all linked back to stress. Stress, pressure, that unhealthy way that we treat ourselves internally is a big, big cause into that. I'm not saying it's the only factor. I'm not saying it's the only cause, but it's a really, really big cause behind that. And it's just not fucking worth it, man. It really isn't. Take it from me. No matter what your current circumstances are, putting pressure on yourself to hit a high expectation in order to feel like you can feel accepted in this world, just like I did, just like I had to learn about myself in Arizona, is so unhealthy. I don't care what your circumstances are. It just isn't worth it, brothers and sisters who are listening. Trust me. When you base your level of self-confidence on only achievements and where you're at in life and how many girls you think you should pull and your relationship status and how you think life should be or shouldn't be and what kind of car you drive and whether you're a homeowner or not a homeowner or what fucking neighborhood you live in or how much money you're making by a certain age, oh my God, your confidence will completely crumble when you don't meet those expectations. Or if you do meet those expectations and a life event happens where things get taken away from you, your sense of self-worth and your sense of confidence will fucking be challenged. And it will happen to you if you have the stuff. If you have the stuff, take me for example, again, if you do very well for yourself and you're on a really good fucking momentum, especially in the beginning stages, and your ego isn't checked yet, things will happen and it'll take those things away from you so you can humble yourself. You know, for a while I was out there, I really did feel like I was going backwards, especially with the chronic health issue. You know, because of that, I wasn't able to really work and be present with my business to the ability that I know I was capable of and the ability that I am capable of. So how did I come back, right? Like, how did I come back to create a sense of self-confidence again, a sense of self-worth again after my dark night of the soul out in Phoenix, Arizona? How did I realign my sense of self-confidence into something that I could control again? And I want you guys to learn from me and how I rebuilt from this so you guys can understand for yourselves. If you attach your sense of self-worth and your confidence right now based on material success, I want you guys to learn from me. I want you guys to learn how I was able to handle it. So if you are going through that situation yourself right now, you know how to handle it as well. Well, first, I had to really start off with facing my own insecurities. I had to be brutally, and I mean brutally fucking honest with myself, guys, with how I was feeling, not where I think I should be thinking of feeling. I do a lot of this with my new students. I think this is really common with men specifically. I mean, back when I was coaching women, guys, for all the men listening, I love you guys. I know I am a men's coach, but man, back when I was coaching both men and women, I'm not going to lie, the women were a lot easier to coach. I'm just fucking being real here. The women were so much easier to coach. And you know what's funny? I've actually heard that from other coaches as well. My old boxing coach, he told me the same fucking thing, man. Women are so much easier to coach because they're way less in their egos. They're more in tune with their emotions. And you just get to the honesty right then and there. Versus with men, what I see a lot of times with men, and they don't mean to do this, it's just the way as men we are conditioned. There's a lot of intellectualization going on when I'm working with men, and including myself, by the way. I do that at times as well. I'm definitely a lot more in tune with my feelings more than ever, but I used to do that with my coaches. They would have to call bullshit on me back in the day. So I say this all to say, like, you really got to pay attention to how you feel, not how you think you should feel, not what your conscious mind is saying and doing or thinking, I should say, because you think it's the right way to think or you think it's the right way to feel. No, how you actually fucking feel. You have to be in tune with yourself and really, really trust what's coming up for you. And I really mean that. You must listen to the sensations of your body. And how can you listen? By paying attention to where your body feels tight. The tight feelings in your body are stuck energy, emotions that are flowing through you to help you understand where you are at. When you are holding on, when you're pushing things down, those emotions get stuck. They're not flowing through you. They're tight. Emotions, energy in motion, emotions. This energy is supposed to be fluid within you, but because of past experiences, traumas, painful memories, societal narratives of what are good and bad emotions, you shove down a lot of stuff about yourself that you do not want to face, that you do not want to admit. And this is what we've been taught to do in society with any emotions that are quote unquote negative. But this is the exact opposite of what you actually need to do. This is actually what imprisons you. It doesn't help you become free. You must listen to yourself and where you're truly at. Have radical honesty within yourself. The only way you're going to know what your subconscious mind is trying to fucking show you. It's like, that's why it's so important to listen to your body. Your body is literally screaming at you. Listen to me, man. Your subconscious mind is trying to show you things. It's trying to show you your limitations. It's trying to show you your belief systems. It's trying to show you your insecurities. You got to pause and listen. Have it show you where you are still outsourcing your internal state to an external outcome, specifically for this episode. That's the topic of this episode here. Have it show you where you are still outsourcing your internal state to your circumstances. Have it show you where you are still attached to the external world. What conditions are you putting on yourself to feel good about yourself, to have a sense of confidence in yourself, to feel worthy? What conditions are you putting on that? When you create this deep level of awareness, you can ask your mind and body to reveal to you the beliefs that no longer serve you. This is exactly, in my opinion, what Western world religions talk about when they say ask God for wisdom in your prayers instead of just asking for what you want. For example, do not ask God for more money. Ask God, what is it you need to learn about yourself in order to be able to hold more money, in order to be able to attract more wealth? What wisdom do you have, God? Or you don't have to use the word God, right? You like to use the word universe, higher power, consciousness, the creator, nature, your higher self, your angels, whatever you like lingo you want to use. Ask it. You could even say my body. Ask your body, what is it I need to learn about myself in order to this, that? They're telling you to ask and then listen. Ask and you will receive. But see, a lot of times people take that too literally. They think, oh, ask and you'll receive. So if I ask for it, I'll get it. No, ask for it and you will receive the wisdom to be able to get it. That's the key point there. That's the key difference there. When you ask for your limitations to be revealed to you, you can create an awareness that is loving with yourself and where you're currently at. You can have compassion to hold the space for that awareness to rise up, for those emotions, for those feelings, for those stories to come up. And then what do you do with those stories after they've been revealed to you? What do you do when you realize you are feeling tight in this moment because of X, Y, and Z? What do you do when you realize you are not confident in yourself because you don't have the money that you want, because you don't have the relationship that you desire, because you don't have the body that you hold on to so tightly? You must start creating intentional thought processes that you can practice over time until they become a belief system. What is a thought? A thought is simply just a sentence that goes off in your mind. Now, what is a belief? A belief system is when that thought or those thoughts get repeated over and over and over again until they just become a part of your programming. Just like stories have been absorbed by you from the society that we live in unintentionally to create feelings and then a behavior pattern, and the result of your lifestyle doesn't feel good to you, right? That's all conditioned from society. But you can also use that same power intentionally to create new thought patterns that you can start practicing on a daily basis. And then it becomes a part of your behavior because you feel that way. And then when it becomes a part of your behavior, your actions are in alignment with that behavior. And then, of course, the outcomes will manifest. This is literally the breakdown of manifestation right over here. You think a certain way, you feel a sensation in your body, your behavior and actions are an expression of that feeling, and then the outcome will come. You can use this in anything in your life. But going back to today's topic for the show, it's about creating confidence within yourself without attachment to material success. And in order to do that, you got to start with your thought patterns. These thoughts that you decide to choose can be anything you want, but it has to be internal. Because remember, you're trying to create now new intentional thoughts that are going to create a feeling, a sensation in your body of confidence, of worthiness, based on only you, without external attachment. Some of the thoughts for me at the time, when I was struggling, when I knew that I had to get this resolved within myself out in Arizona, and I had to rebuild my confidence and sense of self-worth again internally, I knew I had to make a change. I knew I had to create confidence based off something else that's based off of me. So what I did was, and this is when I discovered this process, to start writing down in my journal intentional thoughts about myself that no person or no external circumstance or no event could ever take away from me. Values that make me who I am and how I move in the world. So some examples, I told myself how great of a friend I am. I told myself how loyal of a partner I am. I told myself how passionate and driven I am and how much of a great, exciting work ethic I have. I reminded myself how much I love to explore my curiosities and how I've always honored that about myself. I reminded myself how I'm always willing to learn new things, how I'm humble enough to always challenge my ego in difficult situations. I'm always good at taking ownership for challenging chapters of my life. And from there, I continued to write out the list and created more stories about myself that resonated with my intentional higher self. And before you know it, I got all these qualities about myself that I really love, that I really find admirable. And I'm like, wow, this is actually really cool. And in the process of doing that, I was also able to learn more about who I am and what I value and what my internal compass is during this time. I was building a relationship with myself, with my mind. Now, I remember what I was really excited when I was picking up traction on this for my own vibe, and I was rebuilding my confidence again after all of these mirrors were coming up to me from my own attachment to the external. So I posted something on social media about this teaching, and then one of the more woo-woo guys, great guy by the way, but one of the more woo-woo guys on X ended up like reaching out to me. And he was telling me, like, dude, you don't even need these concepts in order to love yourself and feel confident about yourself. Because what are you going to do if you don't like behave on these values? And I totally get where he was coming at. He's a great guy, by the way. I'm not shitting on him, but I'm bringing this up for a reason. I definitely agree with the spiritual teaching that you are worthy just the way you are, that God made us perfectly. That every season in our life, no matter what we're going through, no matter what chapter in our own life that we're on, we're still lovable the way we are. You were lovable yesterday, you're lovable today, and you're going to be lovable tomorrow. That wholeness is already enough. Both your dark sides, your shadow, your light, your strong qualities, your strength and weaknesses, as the material world calls it, these are all lovable. But here's the thing. I know you guys too fucking well. I know myself too fucking well as well. And if you have been in a period of your life where there was a lot of strong conditioning of beating yourself up, of talking down to yourself, of attachment to the material success of life in order to feel worthy, if someone in a monk robe tells you you're beautiful and lovable and amazing just the way you are, it's going to go through one ear and out the fucking other. There's different layers of consciousness that you must work on. If the idea of I am lovable just the way I am doesn't create a felt sensation in your body, well, we got to start a little bit simpler, right? The way I see it is like, I'm not going to take someone who's really, really skinny, first time at the gym, and just put 2 plates of 45 on the bench and tell them to lift it. No, that's not how it works. The same thing goes with your mental world as well. I can't expect any one of my students to believe that they are lovable overnight with one snap of a finger because I told them a couple of times in multiple different ways on a coaching call. And that's why I discovered this system. That's why I knew that in order for me to even believe that, I had to give myself some sort of reason that was internal, not conditional, but internal qualities that I love about myself. And this is where a healthy level of pride comes in. I don't believe pride is bad. I don't believe pride is good. I believe it is emotion that is useful. It's an energy that you can use to be able to create new stories about yourself that can then be a part of your behavior patterns. It just becomes a habit. It becomes a part of you, just like reading and writing. That's how the subconscious mind works. You repeat it over time, and then it becomes a part of you. It becomes a felt knowing. So this practice that I mentioned of first feeling your feelings and listening, and then being able to write out new qualities that you love about yourself for your values and things that you can control and things that you are proud of that you bring to the table, it's a huge game changer. You will really start to notice it because you'll start actually living by those values. And when you live by those values, you live by your internal compass, you live by your morale, and you now feel a sense of alignment that you can now control. And it's going to take some time until it becomes automatic programming. And then when you make it automatic programming, now there's a healthy amount of room and a healthy amount of energy for you to also practice new teachings of you being lovable just the way you are. And since I understood these layers so well, I started testing this on my students, and I could see the progress in them as I was even doing it on myself to experience, honestly. Creating internal qualities that you associate with your own sense of self-confidence and self-worth does not only create a powerful building block towards making your self-confidence an automatic program, but you really do get to make room to learn about yourself in the process. This helps you understand what you admire in yourself and others. This helps you understand how to navigate through your own internal compass. This helps you understand what behavior in your life is acceptable and what behavior in your life you need to give loving change to. This helps you understand what sort of relationships you want to attract, what sort of lifestyle resonates with you, what kind of work lights you up in order to create wealth, and and live with intention and with purpose. At the end of the day, we are all perfect the way we are. The way God, universe, higher power, source, nature, whatever your lingo is, you are perfect. The way you are exactly created. Your dark nature, your loving nature, it's all created in perfection for you to work with, for you to create, for you to alchemize. But again, like I brought up earlier, guys, when you are newer to this work, that concept can be a little bit too hard to grasp. And I've been through the trenches. I know that concept can be hard to grasp at a felt level. And that's why hearing a bunch of open-ended spiritual riddles of love and light when you feel so worthless in certain chapters of your life can just feel so frustrating. And that's when spirituality can feel a little unpractical at times for people, and that's why I love bridging the gap of spirituality with subconscious reprogramming, because we can work at this in layers. We can train, we can create something that's actually tangible with your mind, based off of the spiritual teachings. So I gotta say, if you're sourcing your own sense of if you're outsourcing your sense of self-confidence onto your relationship status, your wealth, your physique, what you have or what you don't have right now in this life, remember to just feel the difficult emotions first. Listen to the stories that are underneath those sensations. Make peace with them for what they are. They are simply just programming. That's all they are, just programs. And then look at the blank sheet of paper. Look at the blank canvas and decide what you want to create with that canvas, your internal qualities, your values, the things you love about yourself. And now you can create confidence and qualities about yourself so you can have a sense of confidence in yourself in something that you can completely control. Focus on what you bring to the table at an energetic level, not just the material world. The more you can practice this, the more these ideas simply just become training wheels. You learn more about your values, you learn more about your internal compass, you learn more about yourself, and then you'll start making room for the next level of truth like we talked about, which is to really feel confident in who you are as a whole, both light and dark, and all the emotions. And that right there is when you know that you are perfect exactly the way you are. With that being said, my friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you need help reprogramming your mind to become confident in the way you are, and to be able to bring that level of confidence into the things you want to create and manifest this world, such as the relationships, the dating life, a social circle, a business. Guys, click the show notes below and sign up for the Divine Alchemy Brotherhood. You can either sign up directly on the webpage, or look, if you got some questions about it, you want to get to know each other on a personal level, you can even book a call with me as well. I'll meet with you for an hour, learn more about you, see where you're at, see what it is that you want to create in the program together. And from there, we'll get rocking and rolling. We'll see if you're aligned or not. And again, like I brought up in the beginning of the show, this is the only place on the internet, the only brotherhood where we both honor the inner world and the material world equally and treat it as one, where you can alchemize what no longer serves you and then step into what you need to create in your life while also thinking better, feeling better, and behaving in alignment with your highest, authentic, and extremely powerful self. So click the show notes below once again. And remember, my friends, your most confident self already lives within you. There's nothing more that you need to fix. We just need to undo what is blocking you from seeing that and then have you step into your own true nature. Much love, my friends. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next episode.